Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, we should be good to go. Right. Hello. This is going to be a bit weird, a bit different. So, for those who are unaware, before this, we did some YouTube videos called Tutorials for D&DBeyond Homebrew. And basically, as they say on the tin, the entire purpose of them is that I showed people how to use D&DBeyond. Obviously, once you've made those videos, that's kind of it, but some people still have questions. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through some of those questions and answer them, and at the same time, chat can come in and basically say, hey, how does XYZ work? Which point I can go, this is how. So, let's begin. To start off with, we are going to be covering how to change your speed and how to change your natural armor. So we're going to go for speed. As you can see here, we've gone races, we've got a racial trait, but you can easily do this on anything such as a feat, anything that affects your modifiers. So I believe you can also do this with magic items. So how you do it is you go add modifier, and then we would go to, is it set? And we will go down to here, speed walking, and so here we're going to go 35. So that will go 35 feet. And now if I go all the way back up, and I make a character, we'll call this character quick build. So now if we go to call them Tim. And as you can see, their speed is 35 feet. So basically, in setting it, you can set their walking speed to whatever value, and that's what the number will be. Now, we will also use set if you wanted to give someone a natural armor. So how we would do this, let's see if I remember how. So how we would do this is, if I recall, you'd go armor class. Actually, I believe I have documentation. Yep, so you want to go for the unarmored armor class. And whatever number you put in here, so for example 12, if we were to save that, you would then see slight correction. You would want this to go, this number would be -10. So if you wanted lizard folk, who I believe are a 13, yes, there are 13, you would put 3 here, and then it would be 10 plus 3, because basically you're adding a set bonus on top. Let us quickly see if I have any examples of did Greta, did they? Nope. Let's see, did Gollum, did the base deck though? didn't. So I'm just trying to see if I have an example, because that would just be helpful for everybody. Nope. Do I really have no examples? But a way that's always good, if you always want to double check, create a race, set races template. If we go here to lizard folk, we can actually double check. If you own something on D&D Beyond, with the exception of subclasses, generally you can always... No, sorry, subclasses, it still was true for official content. You can always look at it for and try and reverse engineer how it works. So yeah, set on a Dharma class 3. So I was right, yeah. That's always good to know. Right then, next question. We will save that one for last because that was a rather large question. Right, so I wanted to know how to make a battle master from scratch. So let me just quickly... So I can't show all of the battle master, but I can at least go into the main bit, which is... So obviously you'll make a class, you'll call it battle master, you'll put in a description, class feature for each of the set levels. So how they did it was, because these are the two big ones, everything else is kind of... we'll also do improved combat superiority just so you can get an idea. So combat superiority was, this was your superiority die, and you had... you had 4 superiority die, which are d8s. Regain all expended use on a short or long rest. You gain another superiority die at 7th and 15th. So, how you would make this work is, as you see here, with level scaling. Level scaling basically lets you... It'll help if I have this open. So, you put the superiority dice in action. That's how you have the regen effect. So you can see action, short rest, and then limited use. And at each level where the number of uses would go up, you will put the number of uses, and that will set the number of uses long rest. Where the level scaling comes in is... here, the snippet. It will go, you have... Did I get that? You have scale value superiority dice per short rest. So what happens is scale value is a very specific bit of code here that calls upon the level scaling, in this case dice, and this is what it will call upon. So while yes, the number of uses in the superiority dice you kind of already have set here in the action, for the display you're also wanting to set when the number goes up, but also when the dice increases, which is also set in the class. Now the other important thing is maneuvers. So how do maneuvers work? Well, if I close that, we go to maneuvers. So how maneuvers work very simply is you make an option and you basically set up here. So for any class option, this could be path of the totem, combat maneuvers, any point where you have a drop-down list and you want them to pick between a number of set options. you need to list here when an option is known. So obviously you get 3 maneuvers at level 3, you get 2 then at level 7, 10 and 15. So you want to put 3, 3, 3, 7, 7, 10, 10, 15, 15 separated by a comma. And you also need a tick that has options. And then basically you'll need to add a separate option for each one. You don't need to really mess with any of this because you're purely adding an option. So for example, precision attack, and then this is where you'll put the effect for precision attack. And you'll add the action. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a bit quick, but to be honest, it's really quite that simple. It's options for the maneuvers, and then for the die, it's knowing how level scaling works and actions and charges work. So then the next question we were asked. Yeah, here we go. Can I make a monk subclass that uses key points to cast spells? So the best example of this in the current rules is the Way of the Four Elements. So obviously, just to quickly go, the improved combat superiority here will mainly just be an ability that says this effect happens. It won't have any mechanics attached to it because you're already dealing with that in combat superiority class feature. So we're going to go to Where the Four Elements Monk. Let's have a look at how they do it. So obviously, class features, you have Disciple of the Elements and Elemental Disciplines. So, Disciple of the Elements, you can cast spells spending up to scale value key points to increase the spell effect. Maximum key for a spell. So obviously, because there's maximum key for a spell, we'll be putting that in the scale value, basically going, here's the maximum you can spend on the spell. And then in Elemental Disciplines, it should tell us, yeah, so here are the options. And it tells you what level you need to be able to do them. So let's go, for example, with Water Whip. So you could spend 2 key points as an action. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's jump to Monk, because I thought this one did spellcasting. Some elementals have been allowed to cast spells. Here we go. Okay, so let's look at one that does Breath of Winter. So let's see how Breath of Winter handles spellcasting. Breath of Winter. So this one will let you spend 6 key points to cast Cone of Cold. So it goes spell, minimum charge is 6, maximum charge is 6, actions Breath of Winter. Now, this will probably... Will that kick off key? Let's have a look, shall we? So I'm going to make a character now. We will call them Jim. And let's see how Where the Fallen Monk currently handles. It's not like I'm making a new character all of a sudden. Let's close Tim and see if that makes it. Well, that's not very handy. D&DBeyond seems to be having a bit of a paddy right now. Right, we'll come back to this just to be sure. Ooh, so, Ah, okay, now it's working. So we'll do quick build. We will choose a class. The class shall be monk. We will be a random race. Let's go Azuma. And we will be Jim. And we will be a level 18 monk. And we're going to go, where are the 4 elements? And we're going to go so let's have a look how this currently works. So if I now go spells, as you can see, right, so they're just considered at will here. So now if I go to my features and traits, class features, so for me to cast do we not have Breath of Winter? Did I not click Breath of Winter? Here we go. So Breath of Winter is Cone of Cold at 5th level. Cast at will, so yeah, basically how they made it work for Monk is if you wanted to cast it, yeah, you'd say here you spend 6 key points and then I'd have to reduce my key by 6. So that isn't great, but I do believe that's probably going to be the only way you'd make that work. So, to show how briefly that works on this side. So, for example, this one, Cone of Cold, what you would do is you would put in the snippet, and you would put here in the description how many key points they need to spend and what the spell is. Then in spell, you need to add Cone of Cold. You would also want to put an action in so that they know, because of the nature of it, you want to know what kind of action it is. That's all you really need, really, is just the action. And again here, saying spend 6 key points. And then you would actually input the spell so that this knows you're using the 6 charges. I don't know why they did that, because that doesn't seem required, because there's no way for the spells to be attached to key at the moment. Though you do want to be sure it is set to whiz. But yes, so you put the spell name here, put the ability score as whiz, because obviously you're using your key. Be sure to add an action, and be sure to put up here in the text how many key points it requires. This is unfortunately one of those instances where I can't give a really nice mechanical answer of here's how exactly you do it, because D&DBeyond isn't set up to allow that. And on the matter of Artificer, so someone was asking how can I make my weapons intelligence based. Well, the Battlesmith already has that covered. So if you want to do like the Battlesmith do, you want to go to modifier, and at the moment there is literally bonus magic item with intelligence there, but as you can see there is also magic item with all of these, which does mean in theory you could make a feat or you could make a class feature that would allow you attack with a magic item with any stat. Does it have to be? It does look like it has to be magical. Yeah, when you attack with a magic weapon. Let's see if there is an equivalent for not magic weapon, I have a sneaking suspicion. Yeah. Yeah, it does look... could we use... That's if you want to make an attack. Yeah, you can replace the damage type. Yes, so it does look like the only way you would be able to get what you want, unfortunately, would have to be a magic item. But you would go bonus and then magic item attack. Insert the stat that you want. As I said, it's not perfect because based on your question, you wanted to know how to make attacks using intelligence. So the next question we've got is adding equipment to background. So let me just... So for adding equipment to backgrounds, that's very simple. That's very easy. What we'll do is we'll jump to a background now. So here's a copy of the bodyguard. So the key thing is, and the key bit to remember, what you put here in the description will be the list of text that they will see. What they will actually get is all the way down here. Equipment. Now, you'll notice one thing. Only 2 of the equipment that was listed up there are in. That's because the others are effectively custom items. So, D&DBeyond doesn't currently allow you to make common items. They have to be magical, as far as the system is concerned. You could make a magic item and set it to common, and you should be able to list it here. So how you would do that is you go add equipment, and as you can see, I could go backpack. So if I go yeah, so here's an individual choice. So if I see, as you can see, I've added backpack. If I add a second piece of gear, let's go with specific gear, azurite. What's going to happen here is this is going to give me... Let's go to gym and let's go manage. Let's give Jim a new background, shall we? Let's go with description. Let's go with copy of the bodyguard. let's go to equipment. So it starts equipment. I get to choose. I get to go this. Yep. Add starting equipment. Now, if I go to my equipment, let's have a look, shall we? Add. So the azurite's been added. Okay, the azurite's been added, as has the backpack. Have I got them the wrong way around? Is this and right, yes, sorry. I see how this works. So if I go here, this is backpack. This is what's been called. Now I can add sword. And here we will go a specific weapon, flail. And specific let's go alchemist too. So as you can see, we got this, we have sword, we have backpack. Now if I make a character, let's have a look, called Bob. This time I'm going to be a bit more specific, so we'll just go with Aarakocra, Bard. So I'm going to go copy of, where is it? That would be why. Hold on. I always remember when you're doing this, you have to turn on the homebrew option. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Copy a bodyguard. Get language, get all that. Go to equipment. Go to equipment. So we've got rapier. We've got diplomat. Well, the backpack on the 10. And start equipment. Of course, I've got the other important bit if I actually want to see the sheet. I forgot I need to have my ability scores. So as you can see, we've had the azurite, we had the backpack. But we did not get the flail, and we did not get interesting. Okay, so how I think it works. This background, here we go. If I save that. That all comes under backpack. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what I've done there. Save changes. Delete all this second letter. It's been so long since I've had to make one of these. Here we go. So if I see, remember now. Okay, so I knew this is how it worked. Right, so equipment. So as you can see, we've got here set of common clothes. Actually, you know what? Move this down. As you can see here, we've got a set of common clothes. It's its own little box. Don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a box surrounding it. Then we have pouch containing 10 GP. Ooh, pouch containing 10 GP. Then we have backpack. Now we made backpack, we labeled it, so this is a free text. You can label whatever you want here. I really shouldn't have written backpack. But that's what we did. If you wanted lots of standalone items, what I would say is you just add multiple separate entries here, each with a single item inside. It would be this and this and this and this. If you want choice, what you would do is you would write freehand text here. So in this I wrote backpack and sword. What you would probably want to do is something like a silvered bastard sword, and then you would create a second option that was a cooking set. And then in here you can, so we've created one box called backpack, and we've created one box called sword, which as you can see here is what we've got to choose between backpack or sword, because we put them under the same overhead called backpack. Now in backpack we have a backpack and a zerite. So if I choose that, these are the two that will be added. If I pick sword, flail and alchemist doom will be added. I hope this helps. It's kind of each separate individual choice here is an or choice, but within this thing you can have multiple items. If you want it to be literally one item and you label it all correctly, then what you would do is in the actual background you would add a separate one each. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. Right, final one. Final question. So someone said they are looking at adding, creating a feat that will allow them to gain the benefits of being a vampire. So let's have a look. If we go to vampire, there is no real rule for making a player a vampire. Here we go. Player vampire. So your strength, dex, con will be made 18. They gain damage resistance, dark vision, and a vampire's traits and actions. So I am going to cheat and actually use something else as a basis. So I'm going to use the werebore as a basis. So we would label this the Vampire's Curse. And you would add a description that is effectively most of the stuff in this box. Better laid out for a player. So first things first, you want to make resistances. So for resistances, we would go into modifiers, and we would modify, let's have a look at Vampire Spawn. They get resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks. So we would go... They slowly have added more and more things to this. So you'd add resistance, bludgeoning, piercing damage from non-magical attacks. We would, let's just replace you. We would get resistance to necrotic damage. We would get dark vision to 60 feet. We would get strength, dex, and con to 18. If it was specific to the player, I would probably... can we? Yeah. So... we go dex 18. Now, in setting it, I am not 100% sure if it actually does a... oh, I better change the name of this just so I can... oh, no, I can copy it. It says copy, that's fine. And set con to 18. And then we would add a custom action like we have here. So you would set the ability score type to strength instead of con. So this would be set to strength. Largely works the same as this. You're setting all the bits here. So dice count, what the damage type dice is. Is it melee attack? Does it have a save? If so, what save do they need to make? Give it its appropriate name. You're wanting a weapon. Natural weapon. The appropriate damage type. Make sure to display it as an attack. But the other traits vampires have, you would get... so you would do this twice. You do it for bite and claws. You would give them their weaknesses. There's no real way to mechanize this part. You would give them spider climb. Again, no way to mechanize that part. And you give them regeneration. So I would list this all in the feat. Though it does say they can charm. So you could actually look at the normal vampire, at which point you would also give them the charm effect. That one I would put as spell, because then you can input the DC. We've shape changer. See, I'd be tempted to go... you don't need to add the creature, because really this D&DBeyond does not do well with checking the creatures. Yeah, so really you'd put most of the effects in here. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? Because does... Yeah, so in that case, you'd set the darvish to 120. And I remember something about them wanting spellcasters. Yep, so how you would do that is you would go... Now, how was it they said they wanted? They wanted to make the vampire spellcaster and stats be added to a PC. Now, you could give the spell, so for example, we could go, you get the spell Mage Hand, that's nice and easy. And you would set it to ability score intelligence. You know, it's at will, it's a cantrip, you would just leave it as it is, just let it go. The ones that actually require spell skill, that's when it gets more interesting, because that would very much depend how you wanted to limit it. So let's go sleep. So you get sleep. And again, we know it would be intelligence based. So there's a number of things you could do. You could give it a set number of uses today, and then go add, say their int. So you could go, it's 2 plus their int. You could go at 0 plus their int uses. So it is purely, you get a number of uses equal to your intelligence modifier. You could go there for a set number of uses a day. You could go set number of uses plus the proficiency bonus. Be sure to tick this here. And then you would set the reset to whatever it is. I would go long rest. You probably want to set them as cast at set levels. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I would do vampire. The only thing I would want to very quickly check, let's go back on ourselves. Let's save that. Let's save this, because what I now want to do is make a character. And there's a reason I want to check this, because this is one thing I haven't been able to... This is something I've never been asked to do before, but let's have a look. So, homebrew. We'll just go Aarakocra again. We'll be an Aarakocra barbarian who's been made a vampire. Manual. So we need to check this. So, yeah, so let's just go con int and wisp. Okay. So we'll go. Oh no, don't want to do that. So we'll go 15 for strength, 12 for dexterity, 20 for con, 12, 12, 12. You've got quite a good roll. There we go. So, I have to... Oh, no, I can go straight to it. Right. So, as you can see, if what we want is true, this would become 18, this would become 18, this would be kept as 19. But let's see, shall we? So we're going to go feats. We'll go copy of the Wereboar's Core curse. Now, this has been made 18, this has been 18, this has been made 19. Excellent. Excellent. So, because the number is higher, this gets to stay. So, yes, you can... where was it? Yes. So, do you set, because this is basically 18 or higher. Yep. So with that, that's basically the long and short of those questions. That was a bit quicker than I thought it was going to be. Partially because I thought I was actually going to struggle to remember all these bloody things, but actually, I remember it quite well. So, with that, I am going to briefly finish this here. Thank you for coming, thank you for joining, and we'll see you all next time.